Okay. Hello, it's me again. It's Yangsty323, also known as Steven. Um, this is this week's custom Hearthstone Reddit competition. Uh, like usual, I'm just gonna go through, uh, look at all the cards, give some feedback. Feedback's really important. There's like a competition going on in the custom Hearthstone Discord right now, and people there are complaining that they don't get feedback. So I guess I can give some feedback on my end and say like what I like about it, what I don't. So this week's prompt is a combination mechanics from two or more sets from 1 year, and then the secondary prompt is it's a one cost card. Okay, so um, this is Death Knight, a Frost and Unholy rune. Um, it's a shadow spell and it's a rare, and it says Twin Spell, give your minions +1/+2 and Reborn. Um, I don't know if Frost cares about Reborn at all. Like this is I guess there's Dead Air, right? Like, and I think Dead Air is like the inspiration to this kind of, where it just nukes your undead and then resummons them. So this gives like instead of nuking them, this gives like a buff. Um, this is also somewhat comparable to like anti-magic field, and generally the way that the twin spell tax works, this is also kind of the same with drinks, is if you take a base effect and then give it like a and then bump it up in mana, it'll probably see play. We saw that with like Rapid Fire, which was 1 mana, twin spell, do 1 damage. Rare Frost saw play, which is like a freezing potion, which is like two freezing potions, but it also did like an icicle thing, I think. And then you had like, what else? Air Raid, I guess, saw play, from what I remember, but I don't quite. A lot of the drinks had to get like nerfed. The mage one and the shaman one specifically. So if you took out the twin spell, would this effect be worth 3 mana? Maybe. I don't exactly know what the cost of giving all your minions reborn is. If I compare it to anti magic field, it's more stats. It's more stats, and generally reborn is more useful than elusive. So I think this is maybe on the stronger side, but obviously the two mechanics here are twin spell, which was in Rise of Shadows, and then reborn, which was in Saviors of Uldum. So mainly my thought is Frost doesn't exactly fit this idea. It could just be straight up unholy, I guess. Well, I still do think that uh, it's mostly an unholy effect. Probably like a double unholy would be fair for it instead of like a Frost unholy. And then it might be a little bit on the stronger side, but Death Knight cards are allowed to be stronger, I guess. Reinforced Blast Rover, a 1 mana 3/2 with Reborn and Death Rattle, fire a lackey into both players' hands. This is busted to all hell. um, because 1 mana 3/2 Reborn is like 3 mana worth, and then the Death Rattle is not really a downside at all because you are still getting the lackey. So this is busted to all hell. Um, I guess if you bumped up the mana for this, then maybe. I think this was just made to like try and fit the prompt. not really balance wise. Um, I guess if I think of it on the design side of things, I don't mind it. Unlike the excavate and other stuff like that, they don't really care about how many lackeys. They don't try and limit how many lackeys you get in a game. So yeah, so this is fine basically. The idea is fine. The balance is absolutely not. All right. Um, I saw this one earlier. The Arcane Hyperion, Druid Voyager, Starship piece. When you aren't holding an arcane spell, get a random one. And then Voyager is just a modification of the tourist keyword from Perils in Paradise. So you the idea is that all of the all of the druid stuff involved like arcane spells. So all the druid starship stuff involved arcane spells. So the idea is you play the idea is you spec into all of that and then you spec into all of the mage arcane spell stuff, which is like cool, I guess. Um, when you aren't holding an arcane spell, get a random one. There's always the potential that um, there's always the potential that if your hand is full and you don't have an arcane spell, it just keeps trying to add arcane spells to your hand. Um, Obviously, you could like put a catch on that to make sure that doesn't happen, but otherwise that might lag this. That might be a lot of computational power that might lag the server, whatever, whatever. Um, I'm just trying to think if there's like because also this is also something to note. They also try to starship pieces are kind of like the other keywords in that they try to limit the amount that you're able to get. They're trying to limit the amount of starship pieces you get, except for like certain circumstances. The Starcraft starship pieces is they're kind of an exception because they're built so that you can. They were designed so that you launch them over and over and over again. So they give you smaller benefits, but do a lot of more things. I think that's the idea. The rogue is also an exception, but that's just a fiesta. That's its whole own thing. That's its own thing, but it's still pretty close, like 5 pieces versus 4 class pieces. So having this extra one, the extra one's like fine actually. Having like an extra one like this. Um, it would be sharing the payoff with the druid. I don't see anything directly wrong with this. I just don't like it very much. So that's where I stand with this. Okay. Aggressive recruiting. A 1 mana warlock side quest. Take damage on your turn 2 times. Reward, add 2 random lackeys to your hand. Okay, let me think. Because side quests are weird. Um, Obviously, the easier the side quest is to complete, the more powerful the reward is. So if I think to like the 4/4 Griffin is about 4 mana. The Toxic Reinforcements also about 4 mana. The Drawing 3 spells is probably around 4 mana as well. The 6/6 dragon is way more than 4 mana. But all of those require like a lot of require more, have a higher condition than just this. So the reward is allowed to be a little less. I guess it's kind of close to like secure the deck, right? Secure the deck is like attack twice with the hero, and then it gives you 3 claws. This is take damage on your turn 2 times, add 2 lackeys. Lackeys on average are probably better than claws. And then the quest is slightly easier than, I think the quest is easier than attacking with a hero twice because you can do it twice in a turn. So I do think this is stronger than that, but then again, Secure the Deck was never like amazing until Questline Druid came out. So I think this is fine. It doesn't excite me at all. I will probably vote for this for like secondary prompt though. This is a fine thing. All right. Adventurous Kobold. Battle Cry. Recruit a 1-cost minion and adapt it. 2 mana 1/1. Very simple. Makes sense. I don't see a problem with it. It's kind of like Fishing Rod, except Fishing Rod gives you 2 charges, and so this basically trades off the second charge for a 1/1 body and like an extra bonus on top of it, the adapt. So this is a fine card. This is good. This is good. I like this. All right. This is Shard of Mida. It is tradable. It is a priest holy spell. It restores 2 health and draws 1 card, and then at 5 mana, it restores 4 health and draws 2 cards, and then at 10 mana, it restores 6 and draws 3. Yeah, this is. I also think this is good. It makes sense just looking from the first thing. It makes sense how it upgrades. And the fact that it's tradable is, I guess it does add to the card because it's like a card like this where you want to save it for later. You wouldn't mind trading it away in the early game, especially because the first set, you'd probably just want to trade it for 1 mana rather than restoring the 2 extra health by spending an extra. Whoop-de-doo. So tradable actually does kind of make sense on this, and it's very well designed. I like it. Like if you get to 5 mana, it is above rate, which all of the rank spells are, and then once you get to 10 mana, it is extremely above rate. So this is good. I like this. Okay. 1 mana priest spell, Cloning Error. The next Draenei you play gains miniaturize. I don't think there's like a good Draenei you'd want to hit with this, because I guess there's like the 4/4 guy, the Ascara. But oh well, let me think. If you hit the one mana 3/3, and then you like cast a spell, it'll silence itself, and then wait, hang on. That gets complicated because the way that miniaturize works is they're 2 separate cards. One's a token. So let's say you had the 1 mana 3/3. Overzealous Healer is the name of the card. let's say you had the 1 mana 3/3, and then you you play this card and then you play that. If it gives you back the mini, then would that um, if it gave you back the mini, does that count as its own card, own like mini card? Because if it does, then that well the remember there's stuff like Dorian, and Dorian gets like 1 mana 1/1 copies of stuff. It doesn't say whenever you draw a minion, get a mini copy of it. So I think they would want to shy away from miniaturize being used in this way for design reasons. But let's sweep that under the rug. We'll just assume that it just adds a 1 mana 1/1 copy of it to your hand, and it just sets its stats like that, and that it's fine. Um, I guess the Scar is pretty good with it. Um, there's not really another good big Draenei for that, so it's kind of without a home right now. So, and is this worth 1 mana? I think it's worth way more, especially if a good Draenei comes out that you'd want to copy its effect. I would, I honestly think that you could get away with slapping this as like a Draenei effect, and then that that would work. But again, it is 1 mana just for the purposes of completing the 1 mana sub prompt. It feels like right. Arena Scavenger, 1 mana, 1/1 mech, warrior, magnetic, echo, overkill, gain 2 armor. This is everything from the Year of the Raven. um, 1 mana, repeatable, give a minion, give a mech +1/+1. It is much stronger than Sound the Bells, I think. How much would just like a straight up give a minion +1/+1 cost? I know we had like Through Felon Flames, which was 0 mana, technically give a minion +1/+1. Um, and then the overkill thing, I guess, is nice, but doesn't really matter. I think this is okay. My sense of the balance is completely off, but it does seem like a pretty good card. Seems comparable to other things. Yeah, comparable to Felon Flames as like the 0 mana 1/1. Add the 1 mana tax, make it swap out like the conditional part of it. Yeah, it might be a little strong because I don't know how much. Like if you compare to like say Sound the Bells, those, but then again, this is more limited to mechs, so it's more conditional, so it's allowed to be cheaper. Yeah, it's fine. It's a good card. 1/2 Blast. Deal 2 damage to 2 targets. Honorable kill. The top card of your deck costs 2 less. Overkill, draw a card. 3 mana Mage Arcane spell. This does not fit the prompt because Honorable Kill and Overkill were 3 years apart. So unfortunately, this does not fit the prompt. It's interesting in the sense that like it's interesting in the sense of the effect. It also I don't Okay, so obviously the idea is it's flexible. You do 2 damage to 2 targets of your choice, and then if you kill stuff with it, you get card advantage or you discount the top card of your deck. Um, I I don't have anything to say about it, but it does not fit this prompt. Uh, yeah, yeah, that's about it. Um, I guess, yeah, the way it's written. Well, no, yeah, this is fine. It just doesn't fit the prompt. Okay. Celestial Farseer, 6 mana Shaman, 4/8 Dragon. Spellburst, draw a card and reduces cost by 3. Corrupt, this minion's Spellburst can be triggered endlessly. And then the corrupted version. Um, I think the most expensive. Okay, so until Great Dark Beyond, uh, in in uh that year, the was most expensive spellburst card was Kel'Thuzad and Keyword and Ivory. Those are 5 mana. This one is 6. Endless Spellburst draw card reduces cost by 3 is incredibly terrifying. uh, that is basically a Gadgetzan Auctioneer on crack. It requires you to play a 7 mana spell, 7 mana card, and then play this. Um, it's limited to Shaman. Shaman does have a lot of like spells at its disposal at this time. Um, thinking. The only question is if it's too clunky to use. Because I think this is like absurdly strong. Like, okay. You have it. If I'm thinking of like expensive corrupt cards, there's Ticketus, which turns from a 6 mana 8/8 burn your deck for 5 to 6 mana 8/8 burn your opponent's deck for 5. So it goes from like a downside to an upside. So 8/8 burn 5 cards from your opponent's deck is probably worth like. How much would that be worth? Burning a 1 card was worth a 2 mana 2/3 back then. Destroying 5 cards from your opponent's. Well, I'd say it's probably worth around like. It'd be worth less than Hook Tusk, most likely. Well, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I think this is probably way too strong, though. You can very easily draw your entire deck with this, and then it's basically a Quasar. Wait, if I think of it like it's basically a Quasar, then this is. If I think of it as this is basically Quasar, then this is terrifying. Yeah. Um, it takes more work to set up than Quasar, but it's it is basically Quasar. Actually, is like It's Quasar, but it doesn't require you to shuffle your hand back. That's and because the corrupted version you presumably be playing on 8, it's not that hard to get like a cheap spell to trigger it. Okay, I'm talking myself into a way that this is probably not okay. Okay, we'll just move on. Oh, hey, this is my submission. Nightmare Visions, 2 mana shadow spell for priest. You draw a card and get a copy of it. But if you mana for thirst 5, you dredge first, so you're able to control what card you get. Um, Simple. I This is an early submission. Yeah, for these, I submit on like the first or second day because I feel like because I my logic is I want it is good for everyone if there are more submissions to this. So my thought is if I submit early and have like an idea, it might inspire some other people to do something else. So this was an early submission. It's very simple. I'm not totally expecting this to win, but who knows? Okay. Covetous Opportunist. Quick draw and finale, get a coin. 1 mana, 2/1 rogue. Rogue minion. Coins matter with this year because of Wishing Well. Finale. This could be compared to the outsider from March of the Lich King, the 1 mana 2/1 Fierce Outsider, I think it's called. That was 1 mana 2/1, and then if you fulfilled its condition, your next if you fulfilled its condition, your next outcast code cost 1 less. So, with that considered, this is a 1 mana 2/1. If you fulfill its condition, you get a mana back. If you fulfill both of its conditions, you get 2 mana back, but that requires fulfilling both of its conditions, and it's probably still worse than the rush guy because it does not have rush. It's just a guy. So I think this is probably fine. There are worries about like bounce effects being scary, but honestly, I this is an okay card. I don't mind it. If you really wanted to be, if you were really concerned, you could do quick draw or finale, like the other guy, like the 3 mana 3/4. I think it's called Bounty Wrangler. Um, if you're really concerned about that, but I think it's fine. I don't mind it. All right. Last one. You're only born twice. 1 mana, 1 mana paladin spell. Add a random reborn minion to your hand. It costs 1 less with twin spell. Um, well, obviously, paladin in this rotation cared about reborn minions. It's their whole quest. Is their whole quest. Um, Random reborn minions are there were a lot of stinkers. There were a lot of stinkers, not gonna lie. Um, like if I compare this to like Abduction Ray, which is very similar, which is Abduction Ray is 2 mana Warlock spell. Get a random demon, reduces cost by 2, repeatable this turn. This is very similar. Uh, Also repeatable, but only once. Gets you a random reborn minion, which it could be good, could be bad, and then gives it a little bit of a discount. This is, I think, comparable to that, and I think that means I have to say it's pretty fair. And yeah, um, this does fit in with what it wants Paladin wanted to do at the time. So I like that. Okay, so that's all the cards. Quick um, summaries. This one doesn't feel super frost. It could be double unholy, I feel, and I'm not sure about balance, but who knows? This one is just stacked. It's absolutely busted. This one might have coding issues if you get your hand full without arcane spells. Um, this one I this one I do like. Uh, it's a simple quest to complete, but the reward isn't that great as a result. This one I like. It just feels pretty natural. This one I like. This one either causes weird things to happen with how the minis are made, or it doesn't totally have a home right now and could just be slapped on a Draenei battle cry. This one I like. This one does not fulfill the prompt, but it's not too egregious. This one I think is just stacked and busted. This one is my card. Uh, I guess I'll vote for it. You're allowed to vote for your own cards. This one is good, and then this one is also good. Okay, yeah, that's that.